first, there was quite the coverage today, because much of the national media is based in Sydney and thus New South Wales, about how bad a potential fire day it was going to be in New South Wales today. It's part of what seems to be an almost over-reporting of every potential fire that normally is saved for when there is a fire.
Millions of us have been sweltering through unusually high temperatures that have authorities on alert tonight.
The dangerous conditions kept firefighters on red alert.
The heat and strong winds, a dangerous combination.
It remains hot and dangerous in parts of Sydney and the state tonight.
Below average rainfall and above average temperatures.
Sydney is also under a total fire ban, the first in almost 3 years, as the unseasonably warm weather continues.
Now, you know that last week we spent some time trying to tell you all of the different local fire services and just how much preparation they were able to do with hazard reduction. It was very difficult to see, and most, if not all, of the organisations that got back to us say they've been able to do only but a fraction of what they hoped to do before what is going to be a difficult summer. Why? Because as the earth moves from wet phase to a dry phase, of course, dry means more fuel that comes as a result of those wetter times. Greater winds means that if a fire starts, and of course they can start in many ways in this country, be they deliberately lit or accidental or lightning strike, well, we all know what the result could be. But again, today, the hottest day in Sydney, apparently, in some 23 years, hardly going back to the record books of the 1800s, but still, this was the message from the Rural Fire Service, who, in fairness to our dealings with them, have always been pretty upfront with the data.
We've got that unfortunate high temperatures, low humidity, strong westerly winds, warm winds. That's what gives us the really biggest concern for fires. And they move so fast, and we've got that risk of grass fires after all that rain. There's so much grass in the west of the state as well, and it's all ready to burn. So we've got a number of areas we're concerned about.
Now, why am I talking about this at the start of the show? Because I think we are getting an insight today into how we are planning to respond to what may be happening this summer. Now, total fire bans have been around for a long period of time, knowing that a particularly hot or windy day, if someone lit a fire or there was a lightning strike or there was some sort of industrial spark that set it all off, or some idiot with a cigarette, well, we all know that that could be potentially the start of a very big fire. But I want to caution what seems to be an almost overreaction in some parts of New South Wales today, because there wasn't just a total fire ban, but in the far south coast of New South Wales, places from Batemans Bay and down that, yes, have been absolutely smashed by fires a couple of years ago, a decision was made today to cancel school and to close many businesses because of a potential fire danger. Now, there was no fire that was burning anywhere near these schools, but because the weather would be declared catastrophic should one start to light, the decision was made to tell the kids not to go to school today.
There's no more important responsibility in public schools than to ensure the safety, welfare and well-being of our students, of our staff and community inside the school gates. We work with experts in the Rural Fire Service and the State Emergency Operations Centre to make decisions around whether a school will become non-operational due to emergencies. Yesterday, we made the decision, based upon that expert advice, to have 20 schools in the far south coast of New South Wales become non-operational for today.
Now, it is a fine balance, and even me pointing this out starts to put my head into the lion's mouth. But thankfully there were no fires that were significant on the south coast of New South Wales today. I don't know what the plan is for school tomorrow. We'll find that out in the next hour and I'll get back to you. But I'm concerned if every time it might be a bad day, even though there are no fires in the area, that we are shutting down as if the fire was burning. Now, for many people, turning school on and off is something that was completely unthought of until the COVID pandemic years, when school was turned on and off, often at the whim of the teachers' unions and state governments wanting to be overly cautious. But one of the consequences of this is that if you are one of the millions of working parents in the country, one of you has to stay home. That's if Nana and Papa aren't around to take care, or you're not able to have somebody else take care of the kids. What is the flow-on to the wider community of those sorts of decisions? Now, I understand the consequence of a catastrophic fire when burning, well, of course, could burn down a school completely, could burn down a factory completely, could and will, over summer, affect many properties. But surely the moment to pull the kids out of school is not if the weather conditions are ripe for a fire, but when a fire is burning. The reason I say this is because we have to build resilience. And the reality of Australia in summer, regardless of how intense our summers are due to become because of climate change, the reality is that for a big chunk of the year, it's going to be hot. Does that mean for a big chunk of the year we have to get used to the idea of school being turned on and off? Now, I know that there are rules about kids playing outside when it goes above 40 degrees, but when it's the mid-30s and there's no fires around, wouldn't you think the best place for the kids to be would be at school? Not just for their education, but also so life can continue as normal, and God forbid, if a fire did start at the other end of your suburb, or maybe a little further up or a little further down or a little further inland, you would then be able to go and get the kids from school, or at the very least you would expect that the school would have a whole series of emergency plans in place to be able to make sure that they can go to the most fireproof area. They would be able to go in school buses to evacuation centres, and that's where parents can pick them up. But the idea of school being turned on and turned off, and the horrible reality that for some kids they would have spent the entire day at home today with no parent at all. And the potential, as it always is during a school holidays, is that someone somewhere may use that time to muck around on the edge of the bush, in some ways helps bring us closer to the fires starting. Now again, I get that this is a fine line, but I reckon today in some parts of New South Wales the foot was a little too far over the line. I hope that cancelling school in particular and assuming that fire is at your doorstep when there's not even a fire burning is not going to become the new normal in Australia. Send all complaints to the ghost, but I'm just putting a pin in something that I think might be a bigger chat as the summer rolls on, no matter where you live in the country.